Okay, we'll go straight into part two then, because the supper will be overcooked if we're not careful. And that starts, ladies and gentlemen, with a video of the later years.
You've done it all. You've broken every code. Hauled the rebel to the floor. You spoke the game, no matter what you say. But only metal, what a bore. Blue eyes, blue eyes. How can you tell so many lies? Come up and see me, make me smile. I'll do what you want, running wild.
Billy Coleman takes his second victory in Donegal.
There ain't no more. You've taken everything from my belief in Mother Earth. Can you ignore my faith in everything? 'Cause I know what faith is and what it's worth. Away, away. And don't say, maybe you'll try to come up and see me, to make me smile. I'll do what you want, just run on wild.
The Rothmans days. Oh, the Rothmans days, Billy. They were incredible. And somebody, our next guest, who very much witnessed those days, was Michael Lyster, a very, very familiar face to you all. Michael, you're very welcome.
All right.
Bill, how goes it?
Of Cork.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, can we simmer down a little bit, please? Quad.
Tá áthas mór orm. An Cordan seo a glatha. Son gatainna a scaileamh.
Michael, you remember, you were right in the thick of it in the Rothmans days. You remember the extraordinary input they put into rallying.
I suppose, Plum, one of the things about it being from Galway, being from rural Galway, we used to see a lot of rallying, of course, because there was the Galway rally, or whatever version of it there was at the time. The Circuit of Ireland, of course, Cork, Rally of the Lakes, etc. and so forth. And I've often said to people, and I was saying it, I think, to Robbie a little bit earlier on down there, the great thing about it was rallying was a free show. You know, this weekend, Dublin are playing Kerry in the league, and it's a sellout down in Tralee. And of course you have to pay the few bob going in, and people are thrilled to do that, and I'm sure they'll have a great night and all that kind of stuff. But in motorsport or in rallying, you could just go and stand on the side of the road and get the best of entertainment, as you've seen here in a lot of the video clips that have been shown. So that was always
the odd crash even.
Huh?
You might even see the odd crash.
You might even see the odd crash. And especially when I was on the stages, you probably saw a few of them. I had a crash, actually, Billy, down in Galway about 30 years ago. And it was one of those things, I suppose, let's call a spade a spade. I was kind of lucky because lost control of the car going over a crest, hit a ditch, went across the road, and hit a cowshed. And made a shit of the car and also knocked the side of the cowshed. And it was one of those things, yourself and your navigator, Vincent Hogan, got out of the car and counted our lucky stars that it could have been worse. And the next thing, the farmer comes running down, looked at me and he said, "Well, who the fuck is going to fix that shed?"
Michael, you probably have the distinction of being the person who had the shortest Circuit of Ireland ever.
Correct. Now, this man has had fabulous achievements in rallying, obviously, through his glorious career and whatever. But I had the distinction doing the Circuit of Ireland, I can't remember, Billy, it might have been 92 or 3 or something like that. I started...
Recently.
Yeah, exactly. I started the Circuit of Ireland at 1 minute to 10 a.m. up in Bangor, I think it was. I finished the Circuit of Ireland 1 minute to 10. What happened was, I don't want to be taken away from Billy, it's his night, not mine. But anyway, these are the lovely stories kind of that you get out of motorsport, or I suppose any sport, that kind of stuff. I clipped a curb and just banged into it and got down to the end of the road. And I said to the timekeeper, I said, "Have I a puncture in that back left there?" And he looked at me and he said, "It's very hard to know. You don't have any wheel."
And there was another occasion when you had a pretty short rally too, with the late and great Enda Nolan, a great friend of us all, on the Circuit of Ireland, when the constabulary had a word with you.
Actually, yeah. Enda was from Carlow, from Bagnallstown and Carlow, and he was, honestly, Billy, he was one of the great rally drivers. The problem with Enda was he was also one of the great drinkers of our time. I could not, now I wouldn't be shy about having a sip here and there myself, but I could not keep Nolan out of the friggin' bar before a rally and whatever. And he'd be driving along, Billy, in rallies and doing good times. And I'd say to him, "Well done, Enda, that was good stuff, that's a good time." I said, "How are you feeling?" "I'm not fucking great, lad, I'm not great." But we got arrested, Billy, on the Circuit of Ireland. And the thing that struck me about it was...
Were you bagged?
Huh?
Were you bagged?
No, we weren't. No, we were just... Yeah. In those days, there wasn't a bag.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, well, I knew that. Okay.
But the thing that bugged me afterwards, Plum, was we were done for speeding on the open road, heading down to a stage. But there's a bucko sitting over there, Andrew Nesbitt, who is, of course, as you know, from Northern Ireland. He went past us like we were standing still. But guess what? There wasn't a word said to him. And the police pulled myself and Nolan in. I'm not saying there was any...
Discrimination.
I'm not saying there was any Republican bias going on there, but, you know...
Michael, I'm sorry to cut you short a little bit here, but they're screaming with the supper, so we have to roll it on a bit. But you were such a friend to rallying. You were the inside and RTE, and how we could do with some motoring people in RTE at the moment, you know. And
I know. Well, actually, you mentioned it a little bit earlier on, and you paid tribute to the great Michael O'Carroll, who was sitting down here in front of us. And Michael pioneered the coverage, as you said, the coverage of rallying on RTE television, and was so enthusiastic about it and all that. I remember, Michael, on one occasion, this was back in the day, Billy, before they had in-car cameras, because now every rally car has an in-car camera yoke up on the roll cage and that kind of stuff. But this fella down here put some dope of a cameraman in the back of some, I think it might even have been yours.
Might have been.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of an idiot with a camera gets into the back of a rally car and goes bombing down the road simply because this fella told him they'd make great pictures?
I'll tell you a little. A little quick story about that when the onboards were pioneered, and we got to the Circuit of Ireland finish. It was in front of the City Hall, and I said to Ronan, I said, "You have no idea how this has transformed things. The calls we're getting, it's unbelievable, the requests we're getting." And they're all asking, "Ronan, would you do one thing?" And he says, "What's that, Plum?" I said, "Would you wash the back of your neck?"
But you know, before Michael leaves us, I mean, how do you replace a man like this in the GAA scene, you know?
Yeah.
I said to him when he was retiring, he was a fit young man that time, only a few years ago. I said, "Jesus, you know, I don't know how they're going to replace on the Sunday game and the Sunday night, you know, it was brilliant coverage.
Brilliant.
It was quite
Brilliant,
unique,
Michael.
you know." So.
Michael Lyster, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.